Hi, do you want to paint some easy peasy art papers that you can use in your mixed media art projects? Well, in this video, we're going to be making collage paper with a loose woven weave pattern with acrylic paint. Hi, I'm Therese from Therese Bradley Art, and I can help you make art you love so that you can uplift yourself and others, even if you don't think you're creative or artistic. For the 100-day project in 2024, I'm painting easy peasy art papers that I can then use in my mixed media art. I have a blog post on my website where I share why I do the 100-day project, and I'll make sure to link that below in the description so that you can go check that out. So for today's easy peasy paper, you're going to need some kind of, this is a woven produce bag, so something like that that has an open weave pattern. I have just picked two favorite acrylic paint colors, but you can use several. Something that you can use is your palette. I have a plastic plate, but you could use a paper plate. You could use palette paper. You could just use a piece of printer paper or cardstock, something like that. And then I am applying my paint with a makeup sponge. Okay, so go grab your supplies and let's play. Okay, for my next set of papers, I've got, this is from a magazine page. I liked the image that was on the top of this magazine page, but this was all just text. So I thought, oh, I can paint that. That can be one of my papers. I have an index from a book. I've got a part of a vintage map that, was a little plainer. I guess this side is a little plainer. That has a couple different colors, so I can do the one side. This paper I had used as like a protection when I was painting another piece of paper that was in a book, and I didn't want the paint that I was applying to get onto the next pages, so I had blocked it off. So I thought, well, this will be a good piece of paper to cover up them. And I've got this thin paper. I think it's old vintage typing paper is I think what this is. A piece of binder paper, regular copy paper, and then I also have part of this sugar bag that I thought I could print over as well. So I have a variety of different papers that I can try covering up to make my easy peasy artsy paper. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use this bag. This was, I think potatoes came in here. Maybe onions came in here. I'm not sure. It was a produce bag. And what's cool about this one is it's woven in squares, so I can do the grids. I also pulled a few of these strings out, and that made fringe, and going over the fringe makes a fun pattern as well. And then because it's woven and the mesh is not like melted together or sealed together or anything, you can actually move the threads around and get these really cool, just by, kind of doing this. Some of these are now glued because I've used it so many times with acrylic paint. But anyway, so you can get these cool places like right here where it's no longer in a grid form. You can actually move it around. So I don't know, what kind of mesh produce bags you have available, but start looking in your grocery store, and you may not want the produce that's in there, but you might want the bag. So isn't that, an artist that they shop for produce by the type of bag. Anyway, so this is what I'm going to use as a stencil. I've got a makeup wedge sponge that I'm going to use to apply the paint. I just picked out this Prism Violet from Liquitex acrylic paint, and then this is just an old plastic plate that I use as a template, or I'm sorry, as a palette, and I just keep piling paint on there. I never clean it. I just keep going and keep layering, and yeah, so anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. So I will just start. And I think what I'll do is I'll just leave these pages sort of stacked on top of each other, and they can act as a under paper for each other. How about that? Okay, so I'm just gonna put this down any old way. Where'd my sponge go? Here's my sponge. And I will not show you all these, the process of me doing all these papers because, okay, so I'm dabbing into my paint and then I'm kind of dabbing off again so I don't have big globs of paint on my sponge. And then I'm just going to kind of hold this down and I'm just gently pouncing until it looks to me, when I look through the mesh onto the paper, when it looks like no more paint is going down, then I'll put more paint on my sponge. But I'll just keep going. Here's a beginning. Now, when I peel this back and I look and I'm like, you know what, the words are not covered very well. So I will probably put more paint on my sponge, have a heavier application, because I'd like this text more covered up. I'd like it to read painted paper, not written on paper. Does that make sense? So, and because this isn't a precise design, like this isn't a stencil of a flower or anything, I don't have to worry about if I didn't line it up exactly when I go and do my next layer. And I'm just going ahead and going off the edges because I have all these other papers stacked underneath. So they're just getting paint on them. And that's fine. And I'm just going to bring this up and I'm just going to continue in this fashion, covering up this paper that I have. And I'm not worried that my mesh is moving and that it's not aligning properly. And I'm putting a little more, because I know that I want that text blocked out, I'm putting a little more paint on my sponge. And you can see, like this has gone totally, here's my paper. This has gone totally cattywampus, and I'm okay with that. Because I don't want it to necessarily read grid. I want those words covered. So here, we've got the first artsy paper made with this produce bag. I might come and do a little more right there because it's like this square shape that's pulling my eye. There. Okay, so that's the first one. And all of that writing on there now is no longer a dominant feature of this paper. And I'm just going to continue doing some of my other papers. So because I was sloppy and let this be the under paper, I've got some started. I've got some started on here, a little bit here. So I can either stick with this color, with this purple, or I could go on to another color. What I'm choosing to do for this project is I do one technique per paper, but I'm not saying I'm only going to do one color. So for me, the rules that I've set up for myself is it's okay if I now go put a different color on my palette and sponge this one into a different color. So I'm gonna decide to do that, and I'm gonna go pick up another color of paint, and I'll come back and we'll do this next paper. All right, for my next color, I decided to go with cerulean blue, and that's also a Liquitex. And the reason why I decided this is I still have some purple on my palette here. I know it's hard to see because this whole palette is covered in paint, but I still have quite a bit of purple paint here. So I want something that can mix with my purple and not give me mud. So I'm going to want to stick to, if you were to look at a color wheel and you found purple on the color wheel, purple would be next to, you might have red violet next to it, or you might have red next to it, or you might have blue violet next to it, or you might have blue next to it. Red and blue, when mixed together, make purple. So I'm going to look for another color that's within that range, going from red to purple to blue on a color wheel, something within that range. So if you have also started out with a purple color, then either go towards red or go towards blue. If you have extra paint that you want it to be harmonious when it mixes and not give you mud. If I jumped over on the opposite side of the color wheel, if I jumped over to the yellow or to yellow orange, or I went from yellow to yellow green to green, and I mixed that with the purple, if those colors got mixed with purple, you would end up with a muddy color. Now, mud is not bad. There's some gorgeous, gorgeous browns and greens, very luscious, that you can make on purpose that way by mixing colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. They give you just wonderful, complex browns and greens and muddy yellows. They really are quite beautiful. If you don't want that, though, then stick with colors that are on the same side of the color wheel that are next to on either side. So that's what I'm choosing to do. I'm going with this blue color because blue and red make purple. So I know blues are harmonious with purples because purples are made of blues. So I know that that's going to work together. So that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to use the same produce bag and just plop it on there. I'm using my stack of papers as my underpaper because I don't mind if they get mixed. And I just went and mixed both of those together on my sponge. So, and I didn't mix it enough to create another version of purple. I've got it so that right now those colors are distinct. As I keep picking up these two colors, they may mix together and make a third color. And that's okay with me because I know it's going to be harmonious. They're going to work. And sometimes what I like to do with this pattern where the mesh has pulled away from each other and it's no longer making these little squares is I press a little bit harder because I like, it's kind of a funky shape, and I like that shape. In art, when I took my art classes, they called it an OG shape, that kind of coming out and going in and coming out and going in. And I've always liked it. So I'm just looking through the stencil to try and see where my paper is. And because I'm looking through, well, I'm calling it a stencil. It's this produce bag. Since I'm looking through it, I'm not getting an exact placement. And as you can see, my paper has shifted. As I've been pouncing that sponge on there, it's pushed my paper. So again, I'm not going to get those rigid lines, rows and columns. It's going to be kind of whooshy. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Ooh, I really like this. I really like this. This one's yummy. Okay. All right, so now I'm getting excited. Okay, so now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stay on this side of the color wheel with the purple going to blue and the purple going to red. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab one of my reds. I've got a more traditional red, and then I also have a magenta. So I'm going to probably pull magenta because it's my favorite. So I'm going to go pull another color of paint, and then I will come back and we'll continue on this pile. Okay, so again, it's Liquitex, and it's quinacridone magenta. and I love this. This is my favorite. This and aquamarine. So this will be beautiful with this blue that's in here. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this on my palette, add it in. I'm not washing my sponge or anything. I've got a little bit of blue left. I've got a tiny little bit of purple left. So I'll pop my magenta right here. And we will keep going. I'm going to just kind of spread these papers a little bit because this binder paper is a little bit bigger. So here we go. And you know what? I like this fringe. So I'm going to start with that fringe. Ooh. You know what? I love doing art. It's so much fun. It brings me so much pleasure. Too much fun. Too much fun. Oh, goodness. And you can see I'm not being precious about this. I'm not being careful about this. I do have to shift my produce bag thingy around because this paper is bigger, but that's okay. I can do that. So this is just lined notebook paper that I'm printing on now. And I've got some spots where I got a little heavy-handed with that paint, but that's okay. And I'm just going back and what I'm noticing here is I got really pushed with a sponge, and that's why there are these sponge imprints. And then I didn't do very much over it, and then it looked like this white hole. So I'm just going to go over a little bit more with my paint and my stencil. So I don't have, because the white, here's what happens. Okay, so we've got this darker where I pushed the sponge off the edge, and now I've got a more solid coating of paint here. And then I have this piece of paper that has no paint on it right here. So it's bright white. So I have a high contrast spot between the bright white of the paper and this very saturated painted area where I pushed hard with the sponge, and it made this block print. So my eye is naturally going to go wherever the highest contrast is on your paper. That's where your eye is going to go. That's going to be the focal point. Even if you don't mean it to be the focal point, that's where your eye is going to go, is wherever there's the highest contrast between light and dark. So another way, so let's pretend this was an actual, like a canvas painting or something, rather than I'm just making, arty paper that I'm going to, rip up and collage with. So let's pretend this was a whole painting. If that happened and you didn't want that to be the focal point, then you would make sure that you did something that was even higher contrast wherever your focal point was. So let's say you wanted your focal point to be here. Then maybe if that's what I wanted, maybe what I could do is I could come back with black paint and stencil black paint around where my focal point was going to sit. That way I would have very black, very, very dark, contrasting with this area that has no paint at all, very, very light. And then my focal point image, whatever I chose to put there, could sit in that little nest of white space that I had created. So does that make sense? Our eye will go to the area of highest contrast on your page. Okay, there was a little design lesson, composition lesson. And I'm just going to continue. So for the most part, I'm not even really having any idea of what's happening under here, because my intention is I will cut these up, rip them up. I will collage things on top of them. It's just going to be one layer of many, and most likely will not be used as a whole page. I really like that. I really like this look. This is kind of fun. So I think I might put that in here. Now I could, this would be a really fun, I can't paint and talk it. I can't think. I can't create art and talk at the same time. Only one part of my brain will work. Okay, so because I have this whole sheet of paper, I could make this like a one-page book. Like I could do my folding that I've done before. And, you know, that if you look on my Instagram, you'll see versions of that, or if you've taken courses with me where I've created a one-page book. So this you could use absolutely to make a one-page book, and then it would get folded, you know, and would be, you know, each one of these would be a page. That would be a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is I've got a couple of bigger empty spots, so I just want to go add a little bit of paint. Yeah, I really like it. I just kind of like that. Maybe I should do that wherever I've got these spots. There we go. So I'm just pushing harder. Yeah, that's just so much fun. Just pushing harder with my paint there, with my sponge, so that that fringe stands out. There. Okay. Very fun. Very fun. Alrighty. Okay. I have, I still have magenta paint. I have like barely any blue and barely any purple. It's picking up a little bit, but not a lot. So what I'm going to do now is so I started with the purple, I dipped down to blue, and then I went back up to magenta, which is like a kind of a red violet color. And now I'm going to bump over to red. So I have this red, cadmium red medium hue by Liquitex. So I'm going to put some of this in my palette, and I'm going to keep going. And I'm wondering, yeah, I'll just keep going. Okay. So this red, okay, let me show you the difference between these two reds. So here is magenta, which is considered a blue-red color. So it's like a red-violet. So it's considered a cool red because it has a touch of blue in there that makes it purpley looking. Now this one, this cadmium, this looks almost like it's veering towards orange compared to this magenta. So even within colors, they're both a version of red. So even within colors, you can have a cool red or you can have a warm red. This one looks a little more orange to me. And the best way to tell is to compare two colors next to each other. That really is the best way to tell. There are various color theory books out there. Let's see. One I've used is, I believe it's called I Just Want to Paint. That's a good color book. There's another one, I believe it's called Yellow and Blue Don't Make Green. I may have those titles wrong, but I think that those are what they are. And both of those books are really based on color theory and mixing colors and creating the colors that you want. So it talks a lot about a warm red versus a cool red, or a warm blue versus a cool blue. We tend to think that blue is a cool color or green is a cool color. And we don't think that we could have a warm green and a cool green. We could have a warm blue and a cool blue. We could have a warm red and a cool red. Well, this one's warm and that one's cool. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. So if you like to be nerdy and geek out over that kind of stuff, go check out those two books. They're fascinating. So let's get painting, Therese. Enough blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm just going for it. Now, one of the things that may happen, because now I have, so I started with these cool colors, this cool blue, the cool purple, and the cool red color. And now I'm mixing in a warm color. So now I'm mixing in yellow. Remember when I said if you had your purple color and you mixed yellow, you were going to get a muddy color? Well, because this red is a warm red, there's a touch of yellow in there. So that is going to react with the purple and with this magenta, which is a cool red. And we might get some muddying happening as those colors mix. And for me, that's just part of the play. That's just part of, let's see what happens. Okay, now this, I think, is absolutely gorgeous. So this is not, okay, here's, let me do this. Well, I'm just making it messier, but anyway, so I've got the new red here, and then this is where it's kind of mixed with the blue and the purple and the magenta, and so it's given me a whole different color of red. I really like that. This is one of the things that is endlessly fascinating for me with color. I think this is why I just love color so much, is you can do all these changes. You know, you just do one little thing different, and wow, you've got a whole new thing going on. So much fun. So I think I'm pretty much just at the reds now on my palette. I think my purple is gone. Oh, there's a little bit. And I think my blue is mostly gone. And there I go, getting silent again. That is my story. I'm sticking to it. I can create or I can talk. Hard for me to do both. Not a very good, what's that called when you can do more than one thing at a time? Multitasker. I don't multitask. At least I don't do it well. Okay, Therese, let's see what we got here. Isn't this funny? This is made like this little zigzag of white going on here. Okay, super fun. All right, so I could just continue doing this all day long, and I probably will. Okay. So here are some of the pretty papers, whoops, that we made with this open weave pattern. using acrylic paints and some type of open weave produce bag, like potato bag or you know, cutie bag or something like that. Something that we could use basically as a stencil to apply acrylic paint through and get that really pretty open weave. And the variety, I love this one because you can position the bag in all different kinds of ways and get all these variety of pattern. And then depending on what colors you use, blending your colors, it's just super yummy. So if you enjoyed this video, please like it. And that way YouTube will put it out and let more people be able to find this video, and they'll be able to come in and play with us, have some painty fun. And then remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these videos that are going to be in this series. And you can also share this video with a friend and say, hey, come on in and let's do this together. Let's play with some paint together. So what I'd like to know is, what was your favorite part about this video? And then also, if you have any other ideas for me for painting these easy peasy papers, if there's something, an easy technique you know of, you want to share it in the comments below, then we can all read it and try new things. And I will see about creating another video and getting it up here on my channel. So thank you so much for watching today. You've lifted my heart.